Hi, I'm Gary and this is episode 63 of EV Musings, a podcast about renewables, electric vehicles and things that are interesting to electric vehicle owners. On the show today, we'll be returning to our occasional series on the electric vehicles that are currently on the market, and we'll be looking at the Kia ENiro. Before we start, I wanted to remind you about my Patreon account at patreon.com/evmusings. Please support in any way you can if you find this podcast interesting / informative / or if you just feel sorry for me and want to bung me a couple of quid each month. Our main topic of discussion today is the Kia ENiro. We've done a series of episodes on the different EVs on the market already, so if you see the show notes for links to episodes on the i3, the Nissan Leaf, the I-Pace, the Kia Soul, the Model S, the Model 3 and the Renault Zoe. And that was pretty much the full EV market when we started doing this podcast. Since then, the market has expanded tremendously, and we hope to expand this series during the season. If you own one of the newer models on the market, such as the Honda E, the MG ZS EV, the Polestar, the Corsa E or the Mini, please drop me a line at evmusings@gmail.com if you want to come on the podcast and chat about it with me. The first car we're going to be looking at this season is the Kia ENiro. The Kia is the second full electric vehicle from the Kia brand after the Soul EV, which I drive. They are, of course, a sister company to Hyundai, and the Kona and the ENiro share very similar underpinnings. The ENiro comes in two different battery sizes, 42 kWh and 68 kWh. The usable battery in each of these is 39.2 kWh and 64 kWh respectively. An ENiro will set you back £29,595 for the 39 kWh and $33,850 for the 64 kWh model. Both come fully spec'd up with variable cruise control, lane keeping assist and heated seats, heated steering. The latest version of the ENiro has one or two upgrades to the earlier version that we'll talk about in a moment. To help me discuss and analyse what the ENiro has to offer, I'm joined today by ENiro owner and YouTuber Andrew Till. Andrew recently completed a round-the-country journey for charity in his ENiro, started in Canterbury and travelling to Land's End, John O'Groats and back to Canterbury. Congratulations on your successful run around the UK in the ENiro. I'm hoping you had a good time doing that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was fun. It was fantastic. Yes. No problems at all. I honestly worked every time and it was all good. Yeah. Thank you.
Everyone who mentions the ENiro is always astonished by the actual range it will get. The official figures for the range from the EV database are anything from 165 miles to 340 miles, depending on the weather and type of driving. I asked Andrew what his real-life experience was after driving 11,000 miles in his car.
Right, so right now we're on 4 miles to the kilowatt hour. So if you do 4 times 64, what's that, 256? I think. My maths might be incorrect there. But so we're on 256 miles at the moment. And that's doing the school run. That's a little bit of city driving and a little bit of 60 miles an hour going up and down a hill. So that's actually really good efficiency, I think.
4 miles per kilowatt hour for a car that's as big as the ENiro is not bad going. It's not as good as the master of efficiency, the Ioniq, but it's certainly not an issue. I asked Andrew if this efficiency drops in the cold.
Not too much, because I'm quite careful just to put on the heated steering wheel and the heated seats. Mm-hmm. I don't tend to do the blower very much unless it gets really cold. And also, I do try to precondition it if it's plugged in as well. So yeah, it's a difficult one, and it's been quite a mild year really. So I just don't remember. I don't remember what kind of hit we kept, but I imagine it will go down from 4. From memory, I think it will go down to like 3.8 or something like that, 3.7, 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour. So it's not too bad anyway. And it's got a heat pump, the ENiro, so that makes it more efficient.
But as we've said numerous times on this podcast, larger batteries are issues if you don't have good recharging speeds.
The absolute maximum I've achieved, I think, is 76 kilowatts.
That's not bad because it peaks at 77, doesn't it?
It peaks at 77, that's the unicorn. I have not seen that yet. I'm hoping to when I do this big road trip. I'm hoping to see that, but for the moment, 76 is pretty good. I do wish that it had sort of Tesla sort of speed for charging. That would be nice, but as it is, it's not too bad. The main issue is that it does. If the battery is not heated enough, then of course it will be much slower than that. And I have turned up at Ionity, and you pay the ridiculous Ionity rates, and then you end up not getting the kind of speed that you really want, which is a bit annoying. But anyway, it's that's just one of those things. The newer one, it seems, I think, is a bit better with that because it does have a battery heater, and although that's not the same as preconditioning the battery necessarily, I do think it makes the speed a little better.
76 kilowatt charging is not bad at all for a car that peaks at 77 kilowatts. Of course, this all depends, as we've said before, on the charge curve. I asked Andrew if he'd seen the charge curve.
I have, yeah. I've seen the Fastnet one, yeah.
Does that kind of match your expectation, or have you not actually looked at it in that level of detail?
Funnily enough, I was looking into that yesterday. I was looking at it and looking at a Bjorn Nyland video as well, just seeing how it is for him. And I haven't actually followed it exactly, but it sounds about right. Yeah, I think I've probably filmed myself looking at the charging speed, and it's about right, I think. Yeah. But it gets so geeky, doesn't it? But it drops off around 70, like 75%, 76%, I think, and then it kind of starts going down going down a little bit, and then it gets really slow right near the end.
As a general rule, anyone who has an EV tends to wax lyrical about how good it is. There are exceptions. James Coates from James and Kate has been quite vocal about the issues he's had with his Model 3, to the point of wanting to get rid of it and replace it with a Polestar. But I like to find out, what are the issues EV owners have with their cars?
So, what don't I like about? Okay, so the first obvious thing I would say is the look of it. I mean, the ENiro, bless it, it's not a bad looking car necessarily, but it does look like an angry hippo. I don't think it's the most beautiful car. So, I look at the Polestar too, and I just think, God, I would love that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's a stunner.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't even love the look of the Tesla very much. I mean, but it does the job better, I would say, than the ENiro for me. I think it's a better looking car. Anyway, but, all of that is irrelevant, really. The car itself is fantastic. But other things that I don't like. So the 12-volt battery, I've had that die on me 3 times, I think, now. That's because I've got something plugged in to the OBD port, this little diagnostic port that gives me a state of charge, things like that. That's called OVMS.
Yeah.
So I've done a video about that before. And so I have that plugged in. If you have that in, or like a dash cam, then you will find that the ENiro is not very good at recharging the 12-volt battery. It does it a certain amount of times, and then it assumes if it's being continually drained, it assumes there's something wrong, and it just won't bother topping it up. And then you'll get to the car and you find it won't start. So I've had that happen.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've had that happen a few times, and other EVs do have similar issues. Certainly the Kona, because Kona and ENiro are like brothers or sisters or cousins, whatever you want to call it. I believe the i3 has also had issues like that as well. So all EVs, apart from I think the Model Y, they all have 12-volt batteries, which is madness. So that's, and it's just the ENiro does a really bad job, I think, of keeping that topped up. So yeah, the 12-volt battery. What else is there? It's an expensive car. I mean, it's good value when you consider it, with the range. So, but it is £35,000, and it is the inside. It's a scratchy plastic fest. Really, it's not a great looking interior for the money. You could pay that kind of money for an ICE car, and you'd get like a BMW that would look amazing inside, for instance. So but that's not bad in the grand scheme of things either. You can't turn off the lane keep assist, or VES, which is the sound that it emits. You can't turn those off as default. And I know that they're safety features effectively, but I like crawling around without it making a sound. I don't like the VES sound. And lane keep assist drives me mad, because on the way to school, there aren't 2 lanes. It's a fast road, but there aren't 2 lanes. There's room for 2 cars, but it will keep going beep, 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 and it will try to force me back into the middle of the road while the other car's coming. So I've got to turn off lane keep assist all the time, and that drives me mad.
And then when you start back up, it's put it back on by default.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But other than that, there's not much. The sat nav, I wish there was the Tesla experience. I wish I could just get it to, I wish it would know what the state of charge is, when I was going to get to a charger and all that kind of thing. But, I use CarPlay all the time anyway. I have CarPlay on. And so really that's the job for a better route planner to sort out, hopefully. And the only other thing, are things actually that the new trims sort out. So there's a new trim called the 4 Plus, and that comes out in November. Mm-hmm. And that has faster AC charging. It'll do 11 kilowatts. The driver's memory seat on the driver's side, having an app and all that kind of thing. That's all stuff that I don't have, but you can get it in the new ENiro. So overall, there aren't very many bad points, I would say.
There are some surprising good points, though, right?
Well, that's a good one. You know, that is quite basic, I think, in terms of functions. And coming from the Leaf to the ENiro, there's not much the ENiro does that the Leaf didn't do. Mm-hmm. And in fact, a bit less when you consider that the ENiro that I have doesn't have the app. So the thing that surprised me the most is actually not a feature or function. It's more the fact that it's really it's a really good design, I think. I mean, apart from the fact it looks like an angry hippo, as I said, but the interior space, I think, is very good for a family car. It's very functional. Mm-hmm. And the size is good. It's not too big. It's easy to park. You know, things like that. It's not too wide. So it's good for driving around the city. So that's the thing. I know it's not related to the EV, but I think that ENiro is actually a really good shape. The other thing, I suppose, that has surprised me is the efficiency. It just blows me away how good that is. And just the fact that in the Leaf, I don't think it ever went above 100-mile range. I mean, it may have done. My memory's bad. But in this, it just keeps going for ages. I mean, I don't have to charge it for 2 weeks, you know, doing the school run. As I said, that's 24 miles a day we're doing that. And it's so just the range and efficiency really amazes me.
So, summarising Andrew's experience with the ENiro, he bought it as a replacement for his Leaf because he wanted to do a trip to Italy. He did the trip to Italy with minimal issues, and there's a link to the videos in the show notes. He thinks it looks like an angry hippo. His wife thinks the Model 3 looks like a toy car. He's astonished by the range he's getting, and he wishes he had the app. But is he satisfied with his purchase?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, really, we both love it, and my wife loves it, and that's obviously very important, and more important than my opinion. So yes, it has. You know, I keep going on about it, but the range really is just amazing. I mean, I just can't get over it still, and it's still a novelty. You know, the fact that you get so much mileage out of it. And I mean, it's still a novelty to me, the whole electric car thing in general. To me, just charging up at home, I still can't believe how amazing that is. And just driving on electricity. I still, you know, after 3 years of driving EVs, I still can't get over that. But yeah, so the ENiro, it's an amazing machine. Yeah, absolutely love it. And I would miss it, I think, getting another EV. And really the only reason that we would probably consider getting another one is just the fact that I would just want to, you know, play the field a little bit, I suppose, and just try something else.
The grass is always greener, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, but really, it's going to be difficult to beat the Koreans with their powertrains. Are pretty amazing how they've done it. Just the efficiency blows me away. Yeah. So as I say, yeah, I probably will end up getting something else, but I will miss the Niro. Yeah.
It's time for a cool EV or renewable thing to share with your listeners. We've talked several times on the podcast about electrifying last mile deliveries. Everything that comes to your house comes via a truck of some sort at some stage. More so if you use delivery services such as UPS or Amazon. Earlier this year, we talked about how startup company Arrival was looking at providing 10,000 electric delivery vans for UPS. After providing a boxy-looking alpha version for a UPS to play with, they've now released what they say is a beta version. It looks more like the traditional delivery truck with a sloped front to make it a little bit more aerodynamic. What caught my eye is the manufacturing process. As the linked article says, Arrival's vans are modular and use proprietary thermoplastic composites for body panels. This allows the vehicles to be assembled in factories that are dramatically smaller than a traditional factory. They also won't need paint shops in the assembly line because the composite panels used don't require it. Additionally, there won't be any need for any welding to be performed at the microfactories. With a battery pack ranging from 44 kWh to 130 kWh, this should fit any last mile delivery requirement. And that's the show for today. Hope you enjoyed listening to it. My thanks to Andrew Till for his time today. Always a pleasure talking to him. Check out his YouTube channel, links in the show notes. The full interview I did with Andrew will be available on the EV Musings Redux podcast, linked in the show notes. If you want to contact me, please use the EV Musings Twitter account, MusingsEV, or I can be emailed at evmusings@gmail.com. If you want to support the podcast and newsletter, please consider contributing to become an EV Musings patron. The link's in the show notes. If you want a quick reference book to read on your Kindle, I wrote a little something called So You've Gone Electric. It's available on Amazon worldwide for the measly sum of 99p or equivalent, and it's a great little introduction to living with an electric car. At the moment, it's free on Kindle Unlimited, or if you're in the Kindle Lending Library, please check it out. Links for everything we've talked about in the podcast today are in the description. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe. It's available on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Please leave a review as it helps raise visibility and extend our reach in search engines. Thanks, as always, to my co-founder Simon. You know, he started doing animal drawings to widen his skill set. He's done cats, dogs, lions, giraffes and anteaters. I saw one drawing the other day of an old car he used to drive in. Is that part of your animal set? I asked. He said,
bless it. It's not a bad looking car necessarily, but it does look like an angry hippo.
Thanks for listening. Bye.